All right, let's get into the next topic here. At the beginning of the show, we highlighted how the preseason had ended for the NFL. There have been a couple of notable injuries that have happened, so just wanted to run through those real quick and get your opinion on how big of an impact that's going to be, for the teams overall. So let's see. So the biggest one probably is the Vikings drafting their quarterback of the future, J.J. McCarthy, out of the University of Michigan. Unfortunately, he tore his meniscus and he is out for the entire season.
Yeah.
So what are you thinking about that?
I thought he was honestly, like I said, and I don't care about calling my own team out. Even in that preseason against my team, the Raiders, he looked great, accurate. Definitely know how to run the offense the right way. Just unfortunate for a young guy like that, which has actually a pretty, like on a more positive side, it's actually good because he's so young that he has time to recover and he has time to develop. But I thought he was going to be the starter, point blank for that team. I didn't see Sam Darnold being the starter. He lost that. Honestly, he lost that for me when he couldn't even compete at the Jets. So with that, it's just it sucks for the Vikings, but I do think that they'll still be good. I mean, you have Justin Jefferson. You have, I think, was it Cam Akers? You have a couple of other people on that team that can help you push. So hopefully they'll still be a decent team. But in order for that, that's the quarterback of the future. It sucks that he got injured, but then on top of that, they still have a ways to go. Do you know how old Justin Jefferson is? Because I know we keep talking about him like he got all the time in the world, but
I want to say he's 25 or 26. He's not
20, okay, so he says he has a lot of time if he's in the upper.
Yeah, he's 20. He's 25. He's 25.
Yeah, he has a lot of time. So I think with the time for JJ, him getting hurt, he has a lot of time to go over the playbook, look at how everything's going, and then just take all your mental notes you can, and then get on the field next year, hopefully before training camp. I think he'll be good before training camp next season. So definitely sucks the Vikings.
No, 100%. I think honestly, that's he's been playing his entire life to have that moment of getting drafted in the first round, and to have that type of injury. And I'm not really sure if he's had a serious injury in his career previously, but to have that type of injury going into your rookie year, the Vikings have drafted you to be their QB of the future. So, super disappointing. Everything that I saw, and I didn't really watch too heavily, but, from all clips I saw on Twitter, I mean, it looked like he had a good feel for the game. He was making good reads, making quality passes. And like you said, he was on track to be named the starter. I don't think that was, without a shadow of a doubt. Sam Darnold is who Sam Darnold is. I don't think there's there's really anything that can happen that's going to change, Sam Darnold's trajectory in the NFL at this point. But just super disappointed for the kid. And, the Vikings, obviously they would have liked a chance to really find out, because it's one thing to be drafted in the first round and to be, kind of anointed, a team's quarterback of the future, but it's another thing to actually do it on the field. So that's what I was excited to see. Like, with him, with Bo Nix, with Caleb Williams, it's like, they've already kind of been anointed like the QBs of the future for those teams. But it's one thing to say it, and it's another thing to actually go out on the field and do it in real, like, regular season games. And so, the Vikings aren't really going to be able to, obviously they're not going to get a chance to see him on the field. But on the positive side, he gets a chance to kind of sit back, there's no pressure, and just kind of learn. And, I think, I mean, even Peyton Manning has said that, getting a chance to kind of sit back and learn and really just kind of scope everything out, I think it benefits young QBs down the road. You know what I mean? Because there definitely is an adjustment period going from college football to the NFL. So, it sucks for the kid. I'm wishing him a speedy recovery. Hoping he comes back and is able to be effective and be, everything that the Vikings want him to be. And I'm sure, he wants to come out and play well himself. So, it sucks overall. So, J.J. McCarthy, he obviously had the torn meniscus. Justin Herbert, the the Los Angeles Chargers quarterback, he has a plantar fascia injury, which I don't think he actually played in preseason at all.
No, he missed it all.
Yeah. So, and from everything the analysts are saying, it's probably going to be something. It's not going to cause him to miss any time, but it's going to be something that is probably going to linger for the whole season. So his foot will probably never be fully right the entire season. But knowing Justin Herbert, I mean, when he broke his finger last year, I know he did his best to try to play through that as well. So
seen that happen live too. Got it stuck in somebody's face mask, which was Max Crosby, by the way. Yeah. And Max Crosby snapped his head back. You just see it snap. Yeah. So I mean, it's like Justin Jefferson's had histories of getting injured and stuff like that, but for him, I think his best ability was him to be mobile on certain times because he's so tall and he can actually throw. Mm-hmm. But as you know, quarterbacks, what do you need when you're throwing? You need to be able to plant that foot. So I'm hoping, he gets some type of padding, all that stuff to where he can be a better quarterback. But plantar fascia, I don't play around with that. I thought I had it a year ago or something like that. So other than that, it's just dude, I'm hoping he's okay because I don't, like I said, we got them the first week for us going against the Raiders. So I just want to make sure that he's ready and he's good because I don't want to hear no excuses. So
absolutely.
That's it.
All right. So just to run down, I'll run down a couple of other ones and we can just, if there's any notable one that you want to discuss, we can.
Yeah.
Puka Nacua, he had a slight knee injury. The coach Sean McVay has come out and said that he's week to week, and that he should be ready for week 1. So
yeah, he'll be fine.
No, just a little banged up. Hollywood Brown, playing for the Chiefs now.
Mm-hmm.
The wide receiver suffered a sterner clavicular joint dislocation in the preseason opener. He is going to miss a little bit of time, so he's going to be down for at least 4 weeks. They're saying right now.
He'll be back for the Raiders game, so I'm not too worried about that. They always magically heal before they play us. So yeah. Unfortunate though, because it's another weapon that Patrick Mahomes doesn't have. But like everybody says, Patrick Mahomes creates magic out of shit. Oh,
yeah, absolutely. Sam Laporta, tight end for the Lions. He sat out the second preseason game, the hamstring injury. The team isn't worried at the moment, but the injury has lingered a bit.
Okay.
What else? And obviously, there's some other players that are coming back from major injuries that they sustained last year. Aaron Rodgers.
We all saw that live.
Achilles, yeah. He played all of a couple of snaps and was done for the year. Nick Chubb had a bad ACL.
That was gruesome too.
Bad knee injury. Yeah, he tore. I want to say it was more than even his ACL. It was more than that. TJ Hawkinson, he's coming off of an ACL issue as well. And then Joe Burrow also coming back from a wrist injury. So yeah, I mean, wishing all these players a healthy season. NFL is it's a dangerous sport, and you can get hurt very quickly. Very badly, very quickly. So wishing all these players a healthy 2024 season for sure.
Agreed. I'm just happy that Joe Burrow's back. Want to see what the Bengals can look like because I think when he was healthy, you guys went to the Super Bowl, didn't you?
Yeah, we did.
Went to the Super Bowl.
Lost, unfortunately, but Joe Burrow he's a special talent for sure.
I just didn't know because like when you guys went to the Super Bowl, for him and Jamar Chase to get all that experience that young going to the Super Bowl, it's pretty dope. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, man, I'm expecting big things this year. And speaking of quarterbacks, that brings us to our next topic.
Right.
Top 5 quarterbacks. People love doing rankings. People love, discussing the quarterback, position in general is one of the toughest positions to play in sports as a whole. And they get more praise than they probably should, and they get more blame than they probably should also. So top 5 quarterbacks. And we can just Peyton Manning. You can tell me, what your list looks like, but Peyton Manning, he talked about it recently, and wanted to get your thoughts on his list first.
What do you say?
All right, so this was his top 5,
Okay.
and this is a tweet from August the 18th. Patrick Mahomes, obviously, back to back. You know, he's won 3 Super Bowls now. I mean, I don't. You can't really. I mean, you can't really dispute that.
At that age, heck no.
Exactly. Joe Burrow,
Okay.
Justin Herbert,
Okay.
Lamar Jackson, and then Josh Allen.
Ooh. Well, no, I'm just saying just how they have it in the list. For me, because I just like the way they play and the way their demeanor is. If we're gonna go by rankings and we're going by 1 to 5, I would definitely say it's gonna be Patrick Mahomes at number 1.
Yeah.
For me, just because Lamar Jackson has 1 MVP and he's had a chance to go to the AFC Championship. I think AFC Championship just lost. He just lost in there.
Yeah.
I would put him at 2, and then I got Joe Burrow at 3.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would definitely put Josh Allen at 4, and then Justin Herbert at 5. I didn't know if there's another quarterback that was up there that can be in place of Justin Herbert, but pretty good top 5 to me. I mean, can't be too mad about that. What about you?
Yeah, I agree for the most part. I probably would put Justin Herbert at 5 for me for sure. Just because and don't get me wrong, there have been a lot of things wrong with the Chargers as a whole.
Lost to my Raiders a lot of times.
Saying their defense has been terrible for the most part. But Justin Herbert, I mean, the throws that he makes, like I just imagine how bad that team would be if Justin Herbert wasn't on that team. You know what I mean? And so, new coach there, they got Jim Harbaugh. You know,
no music. Hey, no music at training camp. Jim Harbaugh too. Weird.
Yeah. So, it's going to be a different approach. Harbaugh loves to run the ball. You know, I mean, that's one thing we know about him. I mean, when he was with the 49ers, that was one of the things. Kaepernick became, super effective and kind of came out of nowhere playing for Jim Harbaugh. You know, Herbert is physical. He's athletic enough to where he's not going to be Kaepernick, obviously, right. But also, I mean, he can run the ball a little bit when it's needed too. So I'm interested to see how the Chargers offense changes under Harbaugh. I think it will be good just because I think the coach that was there previously just was not good at all. I don't think anybody would really dispute that. Staley's just, he wasn't good at his job. And I can't really see him really getting another head coaching job ever. Mm-hmm. But Herbert, man, he's got all the talent in the world. The problem I think he has now is he doesn't really have anybody to throw the ball to. Like Keenan Allen. Yeah, he lost Keenan Allen to the Bears. So they're hoping that Quentin Johnson, he was taken in the first round, not in this year's draft, but last year's draft, and definitely didn't really have a good rookie year. So they're hoping that he, takes a step in his career.
And highly touted, was it Mike Williams? I had to tell him about Mike Williams.
Well, Mike Williams, he's with the Jets now.
He's with the Jets.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God. He signed a 1-year deal with the Jets. So
wow.
He really doesn't have anybody to throw the ball to. So yeah, I have him at number 5, kind of based off of that. Lamar and Josh Allen, I feel like you can kind of flip a coin. Like
they kind of flip flop.
Yeah, exactly. Like I don't think it really matters between the two. They're both super talented. I mean, Lamar's won an MVP, obviously. Just hasn't really had success in the playoffs. Josh Allen, super talented as well, but he just hasn't been able to get over the hump. I mean, ever since that game against the Chiefs in the playoffs where it came down to the wire and the Chiefs were able to kind of pull off the victory. And
oh man,
it just hasn't gone his way really, like in the biggest moments when it's needed to. Obviously, I'm a Bengals supporter, so Joe Burrow is going to be right there for me, and I feel like he's a super special player. It's unfortunate because he's had 2 major injuries in a young career. He tore his ACL in his rookie year, went to the Super Bowl his second year, lost to Mahomes in the AFC Championship in his third year, and then had the wrist injury that ended his season prematurely. So he says he played a little bit in the preseason. Says he's the best he's ever felt in his NFL career.
That's what we
He's
like to
looked
hear.
yeah, he's looked good. And I'm just ready to, I'm hoping that he just can stay healthy. That's really the biggest thing for me, because I feel like if he stays healthy, there's really only one quarterback that can really go toe to toe with him, in my opinion.
Hey, I mean, look, the only reason why I got him at 2 is because, or at 3 is because he's not that experienced. He hasn't been up there and done that much yet for Joe Burrow, but he has a lot of experience of what he's seen and what he's been through. For me, it's just for Jamar, just not even Jamar, Lamar Jackson, excuse me. He needs to be able to throw an accurate pass. He just has not. For me, he's not a quarterback to me. He reminds me of a running back version of Michael Vick, to
Yeah,
where he literally can't really throw the ball, but he can scramble for days. So if Lamar Jackson can do that, then we'll be good. But Joe Burrow, all he needs is to stay healthy, and he can do it pretty much anything with his weapons. So
exactly, 100%. And of course, like I said before, Patrick Mahomes is, if he were to not play another down of football or throw another pass, he's already in the Hall of Fame based off his performance so far. So
3 Super
three
Bowls.
Super Bowls. He's 28 years old. So I mean, he legitimately, as long as he kind of continues on the trajectory that he's on, he could. I mean, he could end up having more Super Bowls than Tom Brady potentially.
Dude, if you pass Tom Brady, there's no way you can say you're not the GOAT. And that's one thing I'm so pissed about saying. I don't like the Chiefs. I despise the Chiefs,
Yeah,
but I hate Tom Brady more because it goes to that rivalry. Yeah, Pat Mahomes, you just say his name, everybody knows his greatness is there. So
absolutely. All right, so next topic, let's get into. So we already covered quarterbacks. Let's get into who they throw the ball to. Let's go to the top 5 wide receivers, which has kind of been a topic of conversation because there've been some wide receivers holding out for new deals. CeeDee Lamb being one of those. And so if you want to kick it off, who do you currently have in your top 5?
So I'm looking at Bleacher Report as of right now.
Mm-hmm.
And from what I'm seeing, they have Justin Jefferson at 1, Tyreek Hill at 2. We have Jamar Chase at 3, CeeDee Lamb at 4, Devontae Adams at 5, A.J. Brown, questionable, at 6. We got Amon-Ra St. Brown at 7, Mike Evans at 8, 9 is Stephon Diggs, and 10, I don't know how the hell they have this. It's Brandon Ayuk. And there's some questions.
You're not feeling Brandon Ayuk?
He is not a top 10 wide receiver, not in my book. So I'm sorry. There's a couple other wide receivers out there that's probably a little bit better than him, but he is not a top 10. Honestly, and I think people will say as he fell off, they're missing DeAndre Hopkins. He's one of the best route runners out there. I just think it kind of sucks for him because he just doesn't have Tannehill anymore as a QB. They have Levis as a QB. I don't know how good he is, but yeah. But I mean, that top 10 is cool. It's just for me, honestly, you know me. I focus on nobody but my own team. And it's just kind of weird just seeing Devontae Adams at I think they have him at number 3, I think. Mm-hmm. So number 5, excuse me. They have him number 5. I think he's a top 2 wide receiver in the league still. He is getting a lot older, so I'm trying not to be biased. So
yeah, I don't really have an issue with that 5. I think most people, if you just kind of do a general poll of fans, they probably say Justin Jefferson is the best wide receiver in the NFL, which I certainly can respect that. I mean, the reason why I kind of give him the nod at 1 is because Kirk Cousins, I think he's a better fantasy quarterback than he is an actual NFL quarterback. He's going to put up numbers, but the numbers just don't really result in winning on at a high level. And so, and one thing I will say about last season is, Kirk Cousins had the Achilles injury, and it really didn't matter. I think they had 2 or 3 other different quarterbacks over the course of the season, and it didn't matter who was throwing the ball to him. Justin Jefferson was he was getting open. He was being effective. I mean, He was putting up 100-yard games and he had some, no-namers throwing the ball to him. So I definitely understand having him one. I think Tyreek, just based on his performance last year, and let me look at these. Let me look at these stats real quick because I think he was very, he was close to having 2,000 yards.
For Tariq Hill, it says for his second year in Miami, he had 119 catches, 1,799 receiving yards, and 13 TDs.
Yeah, so he was only 200 yards off from having a 2,000 yard receiving season, which is super impressive. I mean, and Mike McDonald, the coach of the Dolphins, he is really good at scheming his players open. And I think I was worried for Tyreek when he left the Chiefs.
Yeah,
I'm like, what are you thinking, wanting to leave one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL to go to the Dolphins? But Tua, he's able to get him the ball effectively. And he's still playing at a super high level, obviously. I think having Jamar at 3 makes sense. He has the benefit of playing with Joe Burrow. They were college teammates at LSU, and they just have really good chemistry. And, Jamar is, I mean, Justin Jefferson, I feel like he runs his routes really well. Jamar is more of a running back after he gets the ball. Like, so if he gets the ball, it's kind of difficult to bring him down, just kind of based on his speed and his balance. He's normally pretty good at being able to make contested catches as well. So I have him at number 3, and then I hate it for Devontae, man, because I understand he wanted to get paid, and the Packers weren't really willing to pay him what he was worth. But ever since he's gone to the Raiders, people have forgotten how good of a wide receiver he is, and it sucks, unfortunately. And then
waiting for Josh McDaniels to do that to you. It'll make you forget a lot about the talent. So
what was the other name you said? Who else was in the top 5?
So top 10,
Tyreek, Jamar, Devontae, and then who was the other one?
Jefferson, Hill, Chase, CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb. There you go.
Yeah, CeeDee Lamb, man. I mean, he's in a contract dispute right now. He wants to get paid. The Cowboys are acting like he's not one of the better wide receivers in the NFL. I don't understand.
I wanted to talk to you about that because Jerry Jones is doing some weird stuff on social media saying, we don't need you. And I'm like, excuse me? You kind of do need him because if he leaves, y'all going to suck at wide receiver. But
the Cowboys have had an interesting offseason because Dak Prescott is in the last year of his deal. And don't get me wrong, Dak Prescott, has he won at the highest level? No, he hasn't won a Super Bowl. But at the same time, he is one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL too. So if you don't have Dak Prescott as your quarterback, where do you go? Who's going to be your quarterback going forward? And so he's in the last year of his deal. They can't franchise tag him, so he's free to go wherever he wants to go after this year if he doesn't resign. So you got that happening. You got CeeDee Lamb, who wants to get paid, deserves to get paid. They're acting like he's not worth it. I'm not really sure what they're trying. I don't know if they're trying to play hardball. Jerry Jones, the Cowboys don't have they don't have an actual GM
front office.
Yeah. So Jerry Jones just kind of does what he wants, and I guess he feels because the Cowboys are probably worth the most of all the NFL teams. He can just kind of do whatever he wants to, but he's going to have to come to some sort of compromise with CD because CD has performed really well, and you got to pay that man. It's what it is, man. So, I mean, his numbers last year were crazy: 135 receptions, 1,749 yards, 12 touchdowns. Pay him. He had the most catches in the NFL last year. Pay the man.
Pay him what he deserves, man.
Exactly, yeah. So, yeah, man, I don't honestly, after Justin Jefferson, I don't really think it matters who you have where. I think Justin Jefferson is clearly probably the best wide receiver in the NFL. And it depends on what you favor. If you favor route running, if you favor what a wide receiver does after the catch, if you favor, youth or, Devontae and Tyreek, they're both getting up there in age a little bit. They're over 30. So, question for you: while we're talking about Devontae, do you think Devontae will be a Raider for the entire season?
I think he'll be ready for the entire season because we started the right quarterback, even though a lot of our fan base doesn't like the decision. Gardner Minshew, you've seen him. He's played for what? He's played for the Jaguars. He's played for the Eagles. He's played for the Colts, to where they almost made the not Super Bowl, they made the playoffs. So him being the quarterback, I think he'll definitely sling it. I'm pretty sure he's going to target DA a lot. But I think he'll be on this team for the rest of the season. It's after the season I'm kind of worried about. Do I see the Raiders possibly trading him so he can actually win where he wants to? Yes, but ultimately the keys is in his hand of what he wants to do. If he wants to stay and be a Raider for the rest of his career, Mark Davis is going to do that. If he wants to leave, I think our team is going to facilitate that so he can get out of here.
He's from Cali, right?
He's from California. He's from East Palo Alto. I knew him. I don't know him. I knew him when we were a lot younger, when we were like 15, hung out with him a couple of times. But he was definitely the best of the best. Won a state championship for Palo Alto High School, excuse me. And went to Fresno State with a quarterback I don't want to talk about anymore. So
you don't want to talk about Derek Carr?
Yeah, Derek Carr he's no longer with the Raiders anymore. Appreciate you for what you did, but after 2016, after you broke that foot, it was a wrap. But I like ultimately, just being on a more serious note, I think he stays. If we do trade him, it's going to be for picks, and we need those picks because we got to draft the top QB. You just got to. So,
gotcha. Yeah, I loved, the connection with. I like Aaron Rodgers, and so when he was on the Packers and him and Devontae, having that chemistry, like. I think the Jets, even though Garrett Wilson is with the Jets, I think they're still probably like. Imagine if Aaron Rodgers can stay healthy. Imagine the Jets with Garrett Wilson and Devontae Adams at wide receiver.
Look, man, if the Jets want to go ahead and give us a first and second round pick for Devontae, by all means, you can have him. Like, I want Devontae to be happy at the end of the day. I just want my team, to make playoffs and be a winning organization because we do a lot of talking on our side and not too much to back it up. So if he's going, please, by any means. But I will say this: if Aaron Rodgers wants to come to the Raiders and be a quarterback, it can happen. Just saying.
Yeah, for the right price, right?
Pay him.
All right, so we're winding down here. We only got a couple other topics. So next, we got the top 5 teams heading into the season. I pulled up the NFL Power Rankings from ESPN, and here's what they have right now. So I'll start at 5 because we can both guess who they have at 1. Let's do the top 10. We'll do the top 10.
Okay.
So the top 10, we got the Green Bay Packers. So coming off of they made it to the second round of the NFL playoffs last year. Jordan Love kind of came out of nowhere. Kind of looked a little shaky to begin the season, but then looked like one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL towards the end of the season in the playoffs. Right. So Green Bay at 10. Okay. We got the Cincinnati Bengals at 9. Definitely, Super Bowl aspirations. Joe Burrow is really the key if he can stay healthy. Jamar is looking for a contract that's been made known to the front office. He's coming into his 4th year of his rookie contract, which normally extensions are done after the 4th year. Okay. He had been in training camp, but he hadn't been practicing. But he had actually been there, but just wasn't practicing at all. trying to get a deal worked out.
Mm.
He practiced for the first time today.
I was
So
about to say that there's an announcement about that. So
yeah, so I'm not sure if they're still working on a deal or if they basically just said to him like, listen, you play for us this year and we'll get it taken care of in the off season. I'm
gotcha.
not really sure if the conversations are continuing or not. Obviously, it's huge that he's out there practicing because for the Bengals, you're not going to win a Super Bowl if Jamar Chase isn't playing for you. So
Right. I was
um,
actually going to ask about that. So, do you think he signs before the season starts? Or do you think he plays with no contract?
I think he plays. I think he plays on his rookie deal this year,
Okay.
and it's been a several conversations have been happening because T. Higgins also is a Bengal and also a pretty good wide receiver in the NFL as well, and he was looking for a contract extension.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, it was reported that he asked for a trade. I don't know if he actually came out and publicly said that.
Mm-hmm.
The Bengals ended up franchise tagging him, and that's the difficult thing when you have two really good wide receivers. And Chase is, don't get me wrong, Chase is by far the better of the two of them, but T is great in his own right as well. But Chase is just he's a top three quarterback in the NFL, and you can't replace him.
By the way, I was just going to say for that Netflix thing, Jamar Chase deserved to be in there over Deebo Samuel. Just saying. That was
I went to the University of South Carolina and I love Debo, but
yeah.
Jamar Chase is a much more talented wide receiver.
I was like better, and I'm like, why? I was like, they should have the way they made the tight end thing. They put what's it called? I forgot his name, but they put the tight end on there from the Niners on there. I'm like, you're not a wide receiver, you're literally a tight end, but you got it.
Yeah. So yeah, man. A lot of things going on with the Bengals and their wide receivers, but the good news is that both of them are practicing and with the team, and so we'll just run it and we'll see what happens. But a deal will get worked out. Jamar Chase is one of those players. It's like you gotta get it figured out. Like you just have to. You can't play around. You can't play like how the Cowboys are playing this whole thing with CeeDee Lamb. You can't do that. So. Yeah, looking forward to the season, and hoping a deal gets worked out. I don't think one gets worked out before the season begins, but I'd love to be wrong about that. But we'll just kind of see what happens. All right, so number 8, we got the Dolphins. Obviously, you got Tua, you got Tyreek Hill, you got Jalen Waddle. So really potent offense, not to mention, the running backs on the team, they play they should win the AFC East. Well, the only thing that might stop them from winning the AFC East is if, Aaron Rodgers is healthy, because the Jets defense is really good. So if Aaron Rodgers is healthy and, him and Garrett Wilson make that connection work, it might be a toss up, but they're coming off a successful season last year, and they just want to build off of it.
Mm-hmm.
Number 7, you got the Buffalo Bills, Josh Allen. That's really what's going to come down to for them.
Tyreek, not Tyreek, freaking they lost their Diggs.
Yeah, they're hoping that Keon Coleman can, they drafted Keon Coleman. They're hoping that he can come in and kind of, step into that role. You don't really see a lot of rookie wide receivers. Normally there's like a learning curve there, but we'll just kind of have to see what happens with him.
Did you watch him play? Because I don't. A lot of people are saying he's going to be a really good, like he's like a pro's pro. I haven't seen him play.
I think he's going to be like a good possession kind of wide receiver. I think it's going to come down to his route running ability and his ability to get separation and his ability to make tough catches. That's really what's going to come down to, I think. Gotcha. Number 6, you got the Houston Texans. CJ Stroud came out of nowhere and basically turned that team into a potential contender. No one was really expecting them to have the season that they did last year. They actually beat the Bengals in the regular season and surprised us last year. And so, I think they obviously want to build off of their success. They've continued. They traded for Stephon Diggs from the Bills.
Mm-hmm.
So they have one of the best wide receiving cores in the NFL altogether, and they continue to try to build a really good defense down there as well. So they're going to be reckoned with. The only thing is not like I feel like maybe there was an element to it last season where they kind of caught some people off guard.
Mm-hmm.
And so now, based on the success that they had last year, they're not going to catch anybody off guard. People are going to be coming in trying to,
Do
take
they
the
have what is it? Because they have CJ Stroud, and they also did. Did they get Mixon, the running back Mixon?
Yeah, Bengals. Because we wanted to get younger at running
Okay.
back, and Mixon had been with us for quite a while, and I mean he was one of the leaders in the locker room. I hated to see him go, but at the same time, they were looking for more explosive plays from the running backs as
Mm-hmm.
well. And Joe Mixon, just kind of based on his age, he's still effective and he's still good, but he just doesn't really offer that same kind of explosion anymore.
Okay.
So they got Joe Mixon. The defense should be really good as well. I mean, they got Nico Collins, they got Tank Dell, super talented team. So
Pierce.
yeah, we'll see how it shakes out. Philadelphia Eagles at 5. Jalen Hurts, AJ Brown, Devontae Smith. Um, they made some. I know quite a few of their draft picks were on the defensive side of the ball, and so
Mm-hmm.
they're kind of looking to improve on that side of the ball compared to last season. And I think they kind of it's hard to kind of duplicate the success because remember they lost in the Super Bowl.
Oh, I remember.
Yeah, the year before last to the Chiefs, and so they weren't really able to duplicate that same success, and it's difficult to do that when when you kind of put teams on notice and they know that you're a good team, they kind of prepare differently for you. And so I feel like that kind of mixed with they just kind of took a step back in some parts of their game last year, and that kind of dictated what happened. So yeah, so looking to kind of bounce back from that. Surprise, surprise, you got the Detroit Lions at number 4. They were one game away from the Super Bowl, lost in the NFC Championship to the 49ers. And they're looking to build off of that success that they had last year. I think the days of teams just kind of taking the Lions for granted. Like people just look at the Lions on paper, like, oh yeah, that's a win. Like you can't really do that anymore. Jared Goff is he's kind of turned his career around. He started with the Rams and they went to the Super Bowl and they kind of took a downturn after that. And so, um, good to see him playing well. And I think he signed an extension as well. So he's definitely going to be in Detroit for the foreseeable future.
Mm-hmm.
And, everybody loves their head coach. I'm trying to remember his name. Let me get it. Dan Campbell. And just like how real he is about the game. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing them play, and hopefully they can duplicate some of that success they had last year. And then the top 3 are the 49ers.
Got it.
Super talented team. They weren't able to make it happen in the playoffs. Actually, I mean, in the Super Bowl, they got there, they just couldn't. They couldn't beat Mahomes
Twice.
Twice.
Twice
Maybe Mahomes is just their kryptonite. I'm not really sure.
Honestly, it's for them. It's just like late game situations. Just like we don't. You know how Kyle Shanahan. He's like one of the best offensive play callers in the league. But
yeah,
honestly, when it comes down there where it counts, and then when the Super Bowl is where it counts, he's just failed. So you just got to do better.
No, absolutely. And they had that whole contract situation with Ayuk. Ayuk wants to get paid, wants to be one of the highest paid wide receivers in the NFL.
Steelers begging for him to come over.
He hasn't practiced at all. He has been there a little bit, but hasn't actually touched the field.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm interested to see how they end up working all that out, because I do think, even though Deebo Samuel is talented and can do some stuff, Ayuk is very much their best wide receiver on that team. And so I don't
keep Ayuk and Deebo Samuel any day. I'm not trying to be mean on that. He's from South Carolina. I'm just saying, who the better wide receiver is. So
no, I understand. So yeah, man, they got to get this whole situation Ayuk figured out. Christian McCaffrey, hopefully they can keep him healthy. The defense is going to play well. Brock Purdy, as long as he continues playing for being the quarterback in that system doesn't really require you to do a lot. Like you said, Shanahan's one of the best play callers and scheme. He can scheme his wide receivers open. It's just a matter of putting the ball where you need it, where the ball needs to go. So we'll see how that works out. You got the Ravens. It's gonna come down to Lamar Jackson for them. That's what it always comes down to.
Every season.
Every season. Like, he hasn't really had. He's been really, really good in the regular season, but just in the playoffs, when defenses really key in on him, it's like, can you make the throws when you need to make the throws? So far, he hasn't been able to do that. But
they got Derrick Henry now too. So
Derrick Henry. So
go.
you're running out of excuses. Like they like you got a running back there now where he can take a pounding, super strong. You can hand the ball off to him 20 times a game, and things should go well. And with the threat of Lamar Jackson running the ball as well, it's like that should be an unstoppable duo. But we'll have to see what happens, obviously, in the regular season. But they should be one of the better teams in the NFL. And then obviously at 1, you got the Kansas City Chiefs, who they just keep winning, man. Like. I know it sucks for you because your team plays in that division, but they got 3 Super Bowls, man, and like the Bengals, it sucks because we beat Mahomes. Burrow's the only quarterback in the NFL to beat Mahomes in the playoffs. He's literally the only quarterback to beat Mahomes in the playoffs. It's in the NFL right now, and so. I'm just tired of seeing them winning. Like I don't want to see them win 3 in a row. That's just me. But
same here. I don't want to see it no more. They need to lose, and it's nothing like this season for the Raiders to knock their ass out.
Exactly, man. Well, go out there and win the division, man. Y'all make it happen. Y'all do what y'all got to do.
Look, man. There's a reason why I got the tattoo for a reason. So look, man. Look, Patrick Mahomes, one of the best QBs out there right now. 3 Super Bowls with the Chiefs. Tired of seeing the Chiefs win.
And you can't even hate. You can't hate on him because it's
not at all. Respect it, not hate.
He's super talented, man. Like the throws that he makes and just what he's able to do out there is it's amazing. But I've just kind of reached the point, especially being a Bengals fan and wanting to see my team finally win one. It's like we just got to get him out of here. Somebody's got to do it. So we'll see how the season plays out, but.
Well, our teams both get shots at them, so let's see.
Yeah, we play them the second week of the season. We play them the second week of the season. They actually got kind of a tough schedule to start out. So they got the Ravens in week 1, which should be a tough game, and then they got us in week 2. So
they play the Ravens again. They played them last season.
Yeah, they're playing.
Okay, so that should be good then. That should be good. I'll watch that game. So we'll see.
We'll see what happens. So last but not least, and we can kind of. This kind of ended off at this, but how are we feeling about our teams to start this season? I'll let you go. I'll let you go first.
You sure you want me to go first? It's quite. I have quite a lot on my team. It's just
okay. I'll go first then. I mean, the sky's the limit, man. Like nobody wants to see their franchise quarterback get hurt. I've seen it happen twice now with the ACL and with the wrist injury last year. What makes me excited is I feel like the areas that the team really needed to upgrade, they did. They took Amarius Mims in the draft in the first round.
You're welcome.
From Georgia. And so they addressed the offensive line. If you watched even. When we went to the Super Bowl and the playoff run where we lost in the AFC Championship, the offensive line was just an area of need. Joe Burrow was getting hit even last year. He was getting hit relentlessly. He was getting hit way too much. For a franchise quarterback, shouldn't be getting hit that much. So, they drafted Amarius Mims. Amarius Mims has been outstanding in training camp. He was on the track to be the starting right tackle for the team, but then he had an injury, a strained pectoral. Right. But he's on a week-to-week. It's not a major injury, so maybe he's out there for week 1. We'll see. But they addressed the offensive line. They addressed the backside of the defense, the defensive backs, because there were too many explosive plays being given up. Um, and if I've been tuned into training camp, we had joint practices with the Colts, and the defense was clamping. They was locking down the wide receivers, and Anthony Richardson he couldn't throw the ball anywhere. So
Anthony Richardson,
and
bro.
it's Anthony Richardson. Don't get me wrong. Like it's not like it's Patrick Mahomes or anything like that, but still, we were giving up way too many explosive plays last year, and so the team has addressed it, and we'll see how it shakes out in the regular season, man. But I'm excited. Joe Burrow healthy. T Higgins, um, Jamar Chase. We got younger running back, more explosive. I'm just excited, man. Like it's two less than 2 weeks to the NFL season starting, and we just we'll suit up. And I don't. The way I feel right now is like it doesn't matter who it is, whether it's Mahomes, like whether it's the Chiefs, the Ravens, Bills, 49ers, doesn't matter. Like lace it up and let's see what happens. So that's how I feel right now.
Hope for the best for y'all. I want y'all to go far and do some things because, like I said, somebody going to have to knock the king off of his freaking throne. I mean, for my team, it's the same thing every season. It's what are we going to do when it comes to our quarterback? What are we going to do as a team in general? Pretty sure you, like everybody else in the NFL and social media, has heard about the QB controversy that was going on with the Raiders. Gardner Minshew is the quarterback that's going to be starting off for the first quarter. I don't know what AP's talking about when he says that. So I'm hopeful for my team. I'm just hoping we do better. I just feel bad for guys like Max Crosby, guys for like Devontae Adams, because they're just going through a whirlwind. Max is a Raider, always will be a Raider. I understand that. We got him help by giving him Christian Wilkinson, Wilkerson, I think it is. But other than that, I mean, Devontae don't really got a QB. We got a whole Gardner Minshew just is the second coming of Jesus. I don't think he is. When it comes down to just AP being the head coach, he is the type of head coach that likes to say what he wants to say. He doesn't say what we want to hear, which I kind of like it. But also on top of that, he's really short. So he'll get like, how do you hope, how do you hoping for Gardner Minshew? How do you think he's going to do? Oh, I hope he does great. That's it. Like that's it. Like he's kind of simple. That's it. Our defense, which I'm kind of mad about, has been doing a lot of talking, saying that they're elite. I'm like, we're not elite. I think one person's elite on that defense, and it's Max Crosby. But we have a lot of things to prove and do this year. I'm hoping my only goal, a lot of people ask me, is to win the division. You win the division, you're in playoffs. It's already a set. So I'm kind of looking forward for us to do that. Even able to do so is going to be kind of hard. So other than that, we'll see how it goes. But no, I hope my team does good. I'm very worried. I'll say that. I'm worried about my team because I just don't know how it's going to be and how we're going to do. I can only hope for the best.
Yeah, man. I mean, I definitely understand that. The Raiders have kind of been at this spot where, and I'm not sure if Gardner Minshew is the guy to do it, but like just if y'all could get consistent QB play, then y'all would be good. And I mean, you can say that about a lot of teams, but I feel like, especially with how, with where Max Crosby is now in his career and how good he's gotten, and it's like at one point it was just kind of like a feel good story, like, oh, this guy kind of like came out of nowhere and he, was making plays, but now it's gotten to the point where he's legitimately in the conversation for being one of the better defensive ends in the NFL, or one of the better pass rushers. And so the defense started to play better, last year as a whole, and not just, Max Crosby. And then, like you said, bringing in Christian Wilkins from the Dolphins, pulling him, in free agency that's a big get for y'all. And so, man, yeah, I mean, Gardner Minshew, he's been a guy that you want to root for, because he's shown flashes where it's like, man, he could really be a franchise QB. He's just never taken that step. And I don't know if he'll do it with the Raiders, but y'all are giving him the opportunity to. So, like you said, you just kind of you see what happens. Like
he's been hoping for this start just to start off being the main QB and being QB1. So I'm hoping for his career he can do so. And look, if he can end up working out for my team and being the QB to be the QB1 to stay for years to come, then so be it. But it's like for my team, I just want them to get a comparable QB. We have a good QB or a top QB in the draft or something like that we can pick up. We'll be a decent team. It starts with the QB. I think we got a good head coach in AP, but they only gave him a two-year window. So he literally has to make the playoffs this year. I don't think he's going to be back. So it's the only thing.
Do you think Antonio Pierce might not be back if he doesn't?
So ultimately they normally give head coaches 3 years, 3 or possibly 4. They gave him only 2. So they're literally saying you have this year and next year you need to make the playoffs. If you don't, we're not signing you to an extension. So it's like AP has to make the playoffs. So it's kind of a crappy situation for him.
Gotcha. All right. Well, I mean, as you know, I always enjoy the opportunity to chop it up with you about, football and sports in general. There just hasn't really been much to talk about with the Lakers. There hasn't been much going on, about the training camp is about to ramp up in a couple of weeks and, we get into the preseason of that. But until then, we'll be here and chopping it up about, football and what's happening on the field. So yeah, man, we look forward. We'll be coming out with episodes pretty continuously. But yeah, just wanted to give you all the opportunity to get to hear us have a conversation and chat about our teams and what's going on in college football and the NFL overall.
Yes, sir. About to say we're here. We will be bringing content about what's going on in the NFL and NCAA football on a weekly basis. Hopefully we can get on after week 1 of NFL because that's about to start off. I think kickoff for the games for college are going to be, they were this Saturday and another couple of them on Saturday coming up on the 31st. So once we are able to get all those done, we will be back with you guys for a second episode. But again, we are After the Catch presented by PGM. We'll make sure you like, share, and subscribe. You guys are going to like what you guys have to see. Appreciate you guys.
Yeah, peace. We'll catch you on the next episode.